Your kid came home and said the words you never expected to hear. Mom, Dad, I want to quit soccer. And now you're sitting there wondering, do I push them to stay? Do I let them walk away? Am I failing them either way? Before you make that decision, before you have that conversation, there are 8 questions that can completely change how you see this situation. Because here's what I've learned coaching and working with youth soccer families for years. Most kids who say they want to quit don't actually want to quit soccer. They want to quit something else. And if you don't know what that something else is, you'll make the wrong call either way. So stick with me. These 8 questions could save your child's soccer journey, and honestly, your relationship with them around the sport. Question 1. Is this burnout or is this just frustration? Parents mix these two up all the time, and they require completely different responses. Frustration is normal, healthy even. A kid who just had a bad game, lost a starting spot, or had a rough practice is frustrated. That emotion usually passes within 24 to 48 hours. If you ask them about soccer a week later, they'd probably be excited again. Burnout is different. Burnout is chronic emotional and physical exhaustion from prolonged stress with no adequate recovery. Kids with burnout stop caring. They're not sad about soccer, they're numb to it. The sport that used to light them up now feels like a chore. Here's how you tell the difference. Ask your child this. If you took a full month off soccer with zero pressure, no training, nothing, would you miss it? If they say yes, that's probably frustration. Give them time and space. If they pause, shrug, or say no, that's a red flag for burnout. And burnout needs real rest, not just a pep talk. The wrong move? Responding to burnout with just push through it. That's how you turn a temporary struggle into a sport they resent for the rest of their life. Question 2. When did they love soccer, and what changed? This is one of the most powerful questions you can ask, and almost no parent thinks to ask it. Think back, or ask your kid directly. When did soccer feel fun? Was it 2 years ago? Before they moved up a level? Before they switched clubs? Before a particular coach came in? Because something changed. Kids don't fall out of love with a sport for no reason. There's usually a turning point. When you identify that turning point, you often identify the real problem. And the real problem is almost never, "I don't like soccer anymore." It's usually one of the things we're going to talk about in the next few questions. Question 3. Is your child struggling with their confidence? Here's something I want you to really sit with. A child who is thriving, who feels capable, valued, and like they belong on that field, almost never wants to quit. Wanting to quit is often a symptom of a confidence collapse. And confidence collapse in youth athletes happens fast. One bad tournament, a coach who benches them without explaining why, teammates who make them feel like they're not good enough, a sudden jump in competition level that leaves them feeling exposed. When a kid loses belief in themselves on the field, the sport stops feeling like a place where they can succeed. And nobody wants to show up to a place where they feel like a failure week after week. So ask yourself, and ask them, do you feel like you're good at soccer? Not good enough to go pro, not good enough to get a scholarship. Just, do you feel like you're capable, like you belong? If the answer is no, quitting isn't the solution. You have to address the confidence first, because if you let them quit right now, they carry that story, "I wasn't good enough with them," and that affects way more than just soccer. Question 4. Is your child afraid of making mistakes? This one is sneaky because it doesn't always look like low confidence. Sometimes it looks like a kid who seems fine until they're in a game. Then they play tight. They don't take risks. They pass when they should shoot. Fear of mistakes is one of the biggest performance killers in youth soccer. And often, that fear isn't coming from the child. It's being absorbed from their environment. From coaches who react negatively to errors. From parents who go quiet or tense in the car after a bad game. From a team culture where mistakes aren't tolerated. If your child is walking on eggshells trying not to mess up, soccer stops being fun. Full stop. The fix here isn't quitting. It's rebuilding psychological safety. Making sure they know, from you at minimum, that mistakes are how you learn, not evidence that you're not good enough. Now, question 5. What is the team environment actually like? Parents often assume that because their kid has teammates, they have belonging. Those are not the same thing. Does your child feel like they're part of the team? Do they have friends on the roster? Do they feel respected by their coach? Or are they showing up week after week feeling invisible, like an outsider in their own locker room? Kids need to feel like they matter to their team, not the star, just valued. And when that's missing, no amount of talent or skill development makes the experience worth it to them. Here's a direct question to ask your child. Do you feel like your coach believes in you? That answer tells you a lot, because a child who feels unseen by their coach, who gets minimal feedback, little playing time with no explanation, or only hears criticism, will eventually disengage. That disengagement looks like wanting to quit. Now, I want to be careful here. I'm not saying coaches are always the problem, but a poor coach-player relationship is one of the top reasons kids want to leave a sport. And sometimes the right move isn't quitting soccer. It's changing teams or clubs. Question 6. Is there something social happening on the team? Bullying, cliques, exclusion? Kids will rarely come out and say, "I'm being left out," or "someone is making me feel bad." They're more likely to say, "I just don't like it anymore," or "it's boring." Pay attention. Talk to other parents you trust. Watch how your child interacts with teammates after practice. Are they bouncing to the car excited, or are they quiet and withdrawn? Social dynamics in youth sports are brutal sometimes, and a child who feels socially unsafe will want to escape the environment entirely, not just the sport. Question 7. Have you and your family accidentally made soccer feel like a job? I say this with total respect, because I've seen the most well-meaning parents do this without realizing it. When every weekend is a tournament, when there's year-round training with no off-season, when soccer conversations dominate family dinner time, when your child can see how much emotional investment you have in their performance, soccer stops being their thing. It becomes something they do for you, and that is exhausting for a kid. Ask yourself honestly, when did my child last have a completely unstructured weekend with no soccer? If you can't remember, or if the answer is we don't do that because of their schedule, that's worth reflecting on. Kids need white space. They need boredom. They need to miss the sport. When soccer is everywhere, all the time, they never get the chance to actually want it. Sometimes the best thing you can do is build in rest, a genuine week or two with zero soccer obligations, and see if the love comes back on its own. Question 8. Does your child have any other interests and outlets in their life? This one ties directly to the last point. When a child's entire identity is wrapped up in one sport, the stakes of every game become enormous. Every bad performance isn't just a bad game, it's a threat to who they are. Kids who have other interests, art, music, other sports, friendships outside the team, tend to have better perspective about setbacks in soccer. They can lose a game on Saturday and go to a birthday party on Sunday and be completely fine. But the kid whose entire social world is their soccer team and whose only identity is soccer player, they have nowhere to go emotionally when things get hard. If soccer is your child's everything, it might be time to encourage some diversification, not to pull them from the sport, but to take some of the pressure off it. Okay, let's bring this home. Here are your 8 questions. Is this burnout or frustration? When did they love soccer, and what changed? Is this a confidence collapse? Are they afraid of making mistakes? What is the team environment actually like? Is there something social happening? Exclusion, bullying? Have we made soccer feel like a job? Does my child have other outlets and identity beyond soccer? Go through these one by one, honestly, and if possible, with your child, not just in your own head. Here's the reframe I want to leave you with. Letting your child quit is sometimes the right call. I want to be clear about that. If after going through these questions, you determine that the sport genuinely isn't right for them right now, honoring that is good parenting. But making that decision before you understand what's actually driving the desire to quit, that's where families get it wrong. Because more often than not, you're not solving the problem, you're just helping your child avoid it. The goal isn't to force them to stay. The goal is to understand. So whatever decision you make it with clarity instead of panic. If any of these questions hit home for you, if you're watching this and thinking, yeah, we're dealing with question 3, or question 7 is absolutely us, I want you to know there's real support available. I help youth soccer families work through these situations with Soccer Mindset Mentor, specifically designed to help parents and players navigate exactly these kinds of challenges. Confidence, burnout, team dynamics, pressure, all of it. The link is in the description. And before you click away, if this video helped you, or if you know another soccer parent who's in the middle of this conversation right now, share this with them. Seriously, you might be the reason they don't make a decision they'll regret. Hit subscribe if you want more content like this. I put out videos specifically for parents of competitive youth athletes every single week.